If operator is equal to plus, it said invalid syntax. If I put, okay. So I'll show you guys how to do that. So, all right. Let me screen share. Okay, I think everyone is back now. Hopefully everyone is back now. Okay, so the first thing that we had to do was we have to prompt the user for input. So for now, I'm just going to say print, and I'm going to say, hello there. Enter a number. And I'm just going to print that out, and then I'm going to ask for an input, right? And I have to store this input in a variable so I can use it later. So what I have to do is I have to declare a variable, right? And in this case, I'm just going to do num1 is equal to input. And that's just going to say num1 is going to hold the first input that I have, and then I can use it afterward, right? And then I have to ask for a second number to do the operation with. And so I'm lazy, so I'm just going to copy and paste and then change a few things. So I'm going to change it to enter another number. So I'm going to print out enter another number, and then I'm going to have number 2 is equal to input. So it's going to ask for another input, right? So input 1 is going to go to number 1. The second input is going to go to number 2, right? And now we need some operators. So we need to know if it's plus or minus in this case. So I'm going to print out what operation? Plus or minus, okay? And I'm just going to do operator is equal to another input. So check the chat really quickly. Oh, yeah. If you forget the quotation marks, then it will error. There's a few things that will give you an error, but I'll walk us through it again, and hopefully everything works out. Okay, so I get the third input, right? And I'm going to have the operator. And then I'm going to have my if statement, right? I need to say if it's equal to plus, then I do this. If it's equal to minus, then I do that, right? So really simple. I declare an if statement. If operator is equal to, and it's a string, right? Because remember, input always takes in a string, and strings need quotation marks. So if the operator is equal to, so this is just is equal to, and I'm just going to do plus because that's what I'm going to type in. If it's equal to plus, then I'm going to do answer is equal to num1 plus num2. Right? I'm declaring another variable called answer, and I'm going to say that it's equal to num1 and num2. All right? Else, and oops, I started typing in the Zoom chat. Else, and I'm going to actually do an else statement for now. I'm just going to say else answer is equal to num1 minus num2. All right? And then at the end, remember, I'm just going to have to print the answer, right? Simple enough, really simple program. It's going to say, hello there, enter number, and I'm going to say 10. And enter another number, I'm going to say 5. And what operation? Let's do plus. And so it's actually going to print out 105. And the reason is because I actually just added the two strings together, right? Num1 is still a string, and I just do plus num2, right? A string plus a string, 10 plus 5 is just another string. So what I actually have to do is I have to convert these into integers. And in this case, I said I convert them to floats because that way you can take decimal numbers as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do float. And I'm going to wrap it inside here. Float. Oopsies. Wrong place. Okay. Float, parentheses mark, and then go here, float, parentheses mark, mark. Okay, so float is going to convert it into a decimal value. Okay, so hopefully this works. Okay, cool, it works. So what happens is I ask for a number, right, input, and I say 10. And 10 is still a string, so 10 is going to look something like this, right? It's going to be inside quotations because it's a string. And if I do float, right, then it's going to convert it into a decimal value. And so 10 becomes the decimal value 10.0. If I say int, then it'll just convert it to 10. But if I input a decimal number, then it's not going to work, and it's just going to cut it off. So I want float because that allows me to convert it into a decimal number, right? It goes from string to decimal. And so now, yes, we want it to be decimal because we want to be able to add decimal numbers together. If you want just integer, you can do that, but it's a more limited calculator. So I could technically do that as well, but I can only add integers. So I want to be able to add decimal numbers together. So I want to do float, right? And so this converts it to a decimal number. And then, so the rest is the same, right? So decimal plus decimal is equal to another decimal number, right? And decimal minus decimal, I'll try that right now. Let's do 10.5. Let's do 2. And then let's do a minus, oops, minus sign. There you go. And that just subtracts the two numbers and gets 8.5, right? Fairly simple, fairly easy. Okay, so now what if that's all I asked you for, right? But what if I accidentally typed in a random operator? Let's say I typed in plus, right? Then it's going to end up doing subtraction because I only have an else statement. So what I want to do now is I want to make it so that I can kind of check to make sure that the operator is correct, right? Okay, so if I wanted to check, then I have to add an else if statement. So else if operator is equal to minus sign, right? Then I'm going to do this minus sign. Otherwise, I'm going to, if it's not plus and it's not minus, right? Because I already checked, is it equal to plus? No. Is it equal to minus? No. Then it's probably going to be an invalid input. And all I'm going to do is I can just say answer is equal to invalid operator, right? And so because I'm just printing answer, it will just print out invalid operator. So if I go here, do 10, 5, and I do plus, then it's just going to tell me invalid operator, right? And then that way it will check to make sure that every time it's working right. Okay. Anyone got it right? Ria just texted that into the chat. Just wondering how many of you guys were able to get it. If you guys didn't, it's okay. Hopefully you guys got it once I went through the explanation. But if you guys did, let Ria know in the chat. Tell us, because that's very impressive and that's very good. Okay, so just really quickly as well, you can actually simplify this code even more if I just put that string that I want to prompt inside the input and delete this, and I can kind of stick this right here inside the input. And notice that I'm adding a space afterward, because if I just input, then if without a space, it looks kind of weird. So I just like it with space, but it's the same thing. I can type 5 and then 5, and then I can do plus and I'll add them together. And this is just a little bit simpler, but it's kind of all in one line. And that's how you do it. Really quickly, if you guys really want to cut down the line count, you can also technically do this. You guys can put the if statement on one line. If you guys have multiple line stuff, it is not recommended. But if you guys really want to cut down the line because you have a competition that's all about line count and you want to cut down the line, that's a good idea, right? So I can do 5 and then plus, and it'll do the same thing, right? So now mine is only 8 lines of code. So why do I need to put hello there? You don't. I just wanted to do that because why not greet the person that's using your program, right? So I would put this inside and just like that. Okay, that's my calculator application. Yeah, there's no need. You can delete it if you want. Enter a number. It's a command now. Okay, since we have a little bit of time left, I wanted to, this is the answer. It's the basic version of the answer. I wanted to go over a little bit about while loops, just so that we can kind of enhance our program just a little bit further, okay? So remember earlier I talked about for loops, and for loops is for looping a certain number of times. Now, what if I wanted to do a while loop? I wanted to do it infinitely, right? Or if I wanted to do it until something happens, right? I don't know how many times I want to do it yet, but I want to do it a certain number of times, right? And so that's when while loops come into handy. So while loops are really good because they're a different type of loop that you can kind of do a number of times that you don't know yet. So in this case, I wrote a little example. I said x is equal to 0, and while x is less than 10, I'm going to add 1 to x. So x is equal to x plus 1, right? So the first time it'll be 0 plus 1, then it's going to, x is equal to 1, right? And then it's going to go again. It's going to be 1 plus 1, 2 plus 1 and 3 plus 1 and so forth, right? And so this is just going to go on until x is less or x is equal to or greater than 10. And so once it hits 10, it's going to say, I'm done. I hit the criteria. I'm going to stop doing this. Okay. But what if I wanted to stop the loop preemptively, right? I'm going to loop through, but as soon as it's equal to 5, I want to break. So this is the break statement. This is just a little bit more advanced, handy stuff that you can use. So as soon as you hit something or you want to break out of loop manually, you can just say break, and then it will break out of the loop. So I'll go ahead and show this. I did not show comments yet, so I'm going to show you guys right now. You can make an individual comment using hashtag space, or you can do 3, I don't know what those are, like apostrophe looking things. And I can just comment the entire block of code out, all right? So I'm going to show a really quick while loop. So x is equal to 0, right? While x is less than 10, I want to print x, and then I want to do x is equal to x plus 1, okay? And it's really simple. And it's just going to, it's the same as a for loop in this case, because I'm saying x is less than 10. And it's just going to print out 0 to 9, all right? Pretty simple. So now, really quickly, if I wanted to do x is equal to x plus 1, I can simplify that, and x is equal to x plus equals 1. So this notation, if you ever see it, is just x is equal to x plus this number, right? It's just a shorthand that you can use. I think you can use it in Java, Python, most programming languages. It's just a little shorthand. It's the same thing, all right? Cool. So I'll show the break statement. So if x is equal to 5, then I just want to break, right? Very simple. It's just going to go to 4, and then it's just going to break, right? Because it's going to print out 4. It's going to plus 1, so it's now equal to 5, right? And if it's equal to 5, then it's going to break. So it doesn't actually print out 5, right? So that's the while statement. And if I wanted to do something infinitely, then I can just do while true, because this is going to happen while this statement is true, right? That's how the while loop works. So if I say while true, oops, I typed that wrong, then it's just going to happen forever, and it's not going to stop because this is always going to have value to true, right? And usually this is not good because it's just going to keep going and it's going to crash your program. So I'm not going to run this. Actually, it will break, but if this were happening forever, it would basically crash your program or just use a lot of processing power. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use this for my little calculator program. All right. So let's delete this stuff. And right now we can only do one operation and then it stops, right? But what if I wanted to do infinite number of operations, right? So I wanted to do this entire thing over and over and over again, right? Well, then I use the while true that we just learned, right? While true, and remember while loops has a colon, and then everything inside needs to be tabbed over. So I just selected everything and tab over. So in this case, I'm just going to do the entire thing over and over again. So enter number, okay, 5. Enter number 5. Then do I do plus? Actually, I need to add a colon and space, but that doesn't matter right now. And it outputs 10, right? 5 plus 5 is equal to 10. Now it's doing it again, right? I'm now redefining another variable that says enter number once again. So I'm going to do the same thing. Let's do 10 and then 5, and then in this case minus, and it's going to do it again, right? It's going to output 5, and it's going to keep asking me forever what I want to do. Now, this is just, yeah, it's more like a calculator. And if I wanted to make it even more like a calculator, I can do the divide, multiplies, whatever, and that would just keep me going. And actually, if I wanted to add something even more fancy, I can do, if this first number is equal to, actually this will not work right now because it's a float, but what I can do is I could check if the value, if the first number is equal to, let's say, break, right? Then I could just break through the while loop, and then it would stop the loop, and I would just finish, right? It's ending. This is not going to work because of the way I set it up, but that's just something to keep in mind if you guys ever want to break the while. Okay? Any questions so far? Nothing? Fairly easy? Hopefully, my goal is to make it mostly understandable for you guys. As a very easy programming language that you guys can use, and it's very fun to try out. my suggestions, I'm just going to spend the last 5 minutes talking about the little suggestions. Yeah, okay, that's good. Enjoyed it and understood everything. Very, very nice. Okay, so lastly, I just wanted to go over what would you do to learn more about Python, right? Because I only went over like what, 10, 20 slides of Python, and that's not very much because Python has a lot of different things. So I personally learned from YouTube, and let me find the video. But YouTube is a great platform because it allows you to learn a lot of stuff. And you can learn a lot of stuff from YouTube and actually the web in general. But what's good? What I did was I actually went to YouTube and I searched a Python tutorial, and I actually came across this one. This is from Free Code Camp, and this is a very, very good tutorial, I think. Free Code Camp makes really nice stuff. They have their own website. I learned HTML from Free Code Camp, the basics as well. And this is, I think, a very good tutorial if you guys want to learn all or most of the beginner parts of Python. It goes over a lot of what I went over today. And personally, I kind of just times two speeded it and watched 2 hours of the video, and I learned it. But you guys can go to YouTube if you want to learn more about Python. They go over a pretty good basic solid foundation that you guys can kind of start building your own applications on. I've also taken a class that uses, I think, Python Love It or something like that. So basically like a website that kind of goes through it. Python like you mean it. I don't remember. But there, if you search it up online, you can also find a lot of different Python courses online as well. And I really encourage you guys to try it out and kind of keep learning, because that way you guys can build entire applications. I'll just talk about one use that I had of Python was to build actually an entire web server. So if you guys go to YouTube, right? How do you guys think if I search something up, why do these videos pop up, right? These videos are not stored on my device. That would be, you know, millions of terabytes of data, right? A lot of information. These are actually stored on YouTube servers. And how do you get this page back when you search something up? Well, it's all done through the web server. And what a web server does is it takes whatever input that the user is giving them, and it will return information to the user. So it's essentially the computer is the client and the server is kind of the web server, and it provides information to the user, right? And so you can use Python to actually write code for the web server. Oh, how do I get information from my database? How do I, you know, compute stuff, so on and so forth. So it's very, very useful. I recommend you guys searching it up, learning it, having some fun. You guys can make your own applications. Try it out, write some code, because writing code will always help you improve more than just reading it or watching it. All right, so you guys, if you guys want, you guys can take a look at these slides, kind of go through this calculator code. I would highly recommend you guys to at least type this out. Don't copy and paste it and just say, oh, I'm done, because that doesn't help you learn. Make sure you guys actually type it out. Even if you're looking at it and typing it out, it's still very beneficial. I see someone raising their hand. Do you have a question?
I have a comment.
Yes.
I did the same exact code that you did, but I added multiplication and division.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's even better, right? That's an even better calculator. I only asked you guys to do addition and subtraction, but if you guys added multiplication and division, that's really good. Actually, I would try and do that if you guys have time after this this presentation. But that's basically all I had planned for today. And now we're going to do a group photo, I think. Ria, you can kind of do that.
Yes. 1 second. I'm just going to write down Edward's name.
But yeah, thank you guys for listening to my whole hour of Python. Hopefully it wasn't too boring. Hopefully you guys learned something and it wasn't too hard. So thank you guys for listening.
Okay, so if everyone would like to turn on their camera, we'll take one group photo for the Python workshop. Thank you, Gabriel, for a great presentation. I think we learned a lot, and the calculator app was super cool, and I like the little consolidation of the lines. That was nice. Everyone good? Okay. 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna take one more. I think there was someone moving. And 1 second. Okay, 3, 2, oops, sorry, 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you guys for coming. I think our next session, let me just make sure. So 1 to 2, we have a lunch break. So take a break, get off of your computer. We're probably gonna close out. Oh yes, can we send the attendance form, Gabriel? We're probably gonna close out the Zoom room, and then at 2 o'clock, if everyone could come back, we're gonna start off with a project help workshop. But if you are not in the hackathon track, we're still gonna do like a fun Kahoot CS game. You'll get prizes, really cool. And yeah, have a great lunch. We'll see you guys in an hour.